The Deer Hunter is my favorite band of all time. I think they're truly and criminally underrated. The sheer level of songwriting ability that these guys have is kind of insane, and something that I would sell my soul to have a fraction of. Trying to explain what the Deer Hunter is can be a difficult task. They cover so many genres and styles of music that it's hard to fit them neatly into one little box. If I had to define their genre of music, I would probably call it alternative rock, but that would be a gross oversimplification. The Deer Hunter specializes in the concept album, a series of songs that is dedicated to a cohesive theme or story. That isn't unique to the Deer Hunter, but they do it in a way that has always resonated with me in particular. The Axe is a 5-album epic spanning over a 10-year period when it was written, from 2006 to 2016. It tells the story of a young boy named Hunter. The lead singer and primary songwriter, Casey Crescenzo, once said that it is the story of a man who doesn't make a single right decision in his entire life. Today I'm going to explain to the best of my ability the entire story hidden within the Deer Hunter's first album, Act 1, The Lake South, The River North. But before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel. We are getting really close to 500 subscribers, and that would be a super exciting milestone for me. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, it doesn't seem like much, but seeing that subscriber count tick up is something that still gets me excited. So please do that if you haven't done that already, and now let's get into it. Track 1, Battesimo del Fuoco. Our first track is potentially one of the most cryptic in the entire series of albums. This song seems to have many different interpretations depending on the person you ask. I'm going to give the most straightforward interpretation that best fits for this album in particular. The title, Battesimo del Fuoco, means baptism of fire in Italian. Casey, the songwriter, comes from Italian heritage, so I assume that's why he decided to use the Italian language here. Despite the title being in Italian, our story actually takes place in America. The events of the Axe take place across a couple of different locations, but are primarily contained to an unknown city at the turn of the 20th century. Given the context clues we find out about it later, we can assume the city sits on the east coast of America. Believe you me, the price is clear. A child born, the mother near, to death and life as hand in hand. So we start with the birth of a child, our main protagonist, Hunter. At first glance, the line, a child born, the mother near, seems redundant. Of course, the mother is near to the child when he was born, but what this is actually alluding to is the close bond that Hunter and his mother will form while he grows up. Being hand in hand in both death and life shows me that the fate of these two people will be intertwined. This foreshadows Hunter's journey through life as he engages with people that his mother is very familiar with and gets entangled in the life that she leads. A failed life exposed the man who led her off into the flame to cast her back to hell again. Here we see that someone's failures will expose a man who cast the mother down to hell. This is some heavy foreshadowing to Hunter's journey throughout the story and his struggle with the primary antagonist of the albums that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Like I mentioned earlier, Hunter makes some really poor decisions throughout the series, and it wouldn't be a stretch to say that he lives a failed life, like was mentioned in the lyrics. But hear you me, the break of dawn will wash away the sins thereof. Unto the lake beyond the tree, the child waits, alone is he. The lake that this album and song refers to is the homestead that the child will grow up on. He is told by his mother never to go beyond the tree, and that tree becomes symbolic of his idyllic but sheltered life. The break of dawn washing away the sins is hinting that there may be a silver lining for our characters, that even after all the bad they do, there may still be a way for them to find forgiveness. Forgiveness under certain conditions is a big theme of the entire story. We are shown several instances where characters are told that they can fix their mistakes if they go and do something difficult or counterintuitive. The flame is gone, the fire remains. The flame is gone, the fire remains. This is another major theme that is repeated throughout the entire story. While the flame may be gone, in this case the mother, the result of that flame, the fire, still burns on. Even though the mother may pass away, her son will still carry on. Track 2, The Lake South. This song is an instrumental, so we don't have any lyrics to discuss, but it is a good time to talk about the use of musical motifs in the music of the Deer Hunter. Certain melodies are brought back in later songs to connect story elements. This song in particular introduces a theme that is used to call back to the homestead, to the lake where Hunter grew up. We'll see it show up another time in this album. One of the things that I love about the Deer Hunter is that it rewards people who choose to intently listen to their music. The primary storytelling is done through the lyrics, of course, but there are clues that are sprinkled throughout the melodies they use as well. I really think that listening to music with greater intentionality is a great way to learn how to write your own music. Just start paying attention to what the artists are doing, how they're mixing their songs, what instruments they use. It's all super cool. Track 3, City Escape. I really love this song. It has so much energy and is a great sign of things to come with this band. You see, while I love Act 1, it definitely is the roughest of all the albums. It was before the band had the freedom and time to write and record in like a truly professional setting. But this song is a great example of everything that the band does well. It has it all: cryptic lyrics, storytelling through instrumentation, and a huge variety of musical styles. I love it. So this song tells the story of the mother, who we now learn is named Mystery. Now this name is sort of a pun, obviously sounding like mystery, but we also learn from her name that she is not married, meaning her son was born out of wedlock. Now this wouldn't be that much of an issue today, but remember, we are in the early 1900s, and things were quite different back then. To make things worse, Mystery is also a prostitute working at a brothel in town. This song is actually sort of prequel to the first. The beginning of the song alludes to Mystery attempting to burn down the brothel she works at, and then escaping into the night while being pursued by an angry mob. Please, what happened to the flame? It burned down the sides, with a fondness for cooking history, revealing thoughts of mystery. The flame that we talked about earlier could also be referencing Hunter, the unborn child that she has discovered she is pregnant with. My reading of this song is that Mystery discovers she is pregnant, realizing she needs to commit herself to taking care of her son. She then attempts to burn the brothel down and escapes into the night. In the heat of the night, a woman wealthy of a Paris plight erased a harlot's life. To be Paris means to have produced offspring. Mystery is attempting to burn down her old life and make a new one for herself. This is also alluded to the line, a fondness for cooking history. Cooking can be used as a term to cheat or lie about something. She's cheating her true history by trying to burn down the brothel. Plagued by practical and a mercenary lust, they tear at her skin. The trouble began, but it never ended, clawing at her throat with the smell of desperate and a lack of regret. These lyrics are referring to both the physical process of Mystery performing her job as a prostitute and the mob chasing her down as she attempts to flee town. As we will see several albums from now, the town really does not like it when you mess with the brothel. Free, pardoned by the flame that burned down the sides, her feet began to bleed between the seams, but she persisted to the street. More imagery of Mystery escaping her life and running away from the brothel. The line, pardoned by the flame, is especially clever, since both the physical fire provided her escape as well as the fire within her son Hunter. In the heat of the night, the river rendered the chance she surely needs to stay alive. Being pursued by the crowd and seeing no other way to escape the town, she decides to jump into the river and let it carry her away. The next portion of this song is an instrumental where we hear the feeling of drowning and nearly losing consciousness represented through distorted noises. It's super cool and a great example of the Deer Hunter's musical storytelling. Oh, but her breath escapes her. Oh, but the pulse remains. She may be nearly drowning, but she is still alive and she has made her escape from the town. Places, people, the stage is set. Places, people, the stage is set. Here we have a fourth wall break. We were just given the prologue to the story of Hunter's life, and now the acts can truly begin. The stage is set for our grand story. The outro to the song is actually the same refrain we heard in The Lake South. It's the theme of the homestead or the lake home. Mystery has reached her home and will raise her child there, isolated from the rest of the world that has only shown her cruelty. Track 4, The Inquiry of Mystery. This song is amazing. It has such a cool vibe, and we get a couple of Casey screams, which are always fun. This song is all about Mystery attempting to explain her life from her son Hunter and avoiding talking about the more nasty bits of it. At this point, they're both living in the homestead, and Hunter doesn't know about his mom's past. He doesn't understand what she's done. A home removed, a life resumed right here. The priest and the rosary, the book and the bond between he and me has long since broken. A boy who's grown, too short to see, a tale unfolds, too tall to be. A life once lived, beyond closed door, the irony of the pensive whore. Hunter has grown, but he is still too young to truly understand what his mom went through when she worked at the brothel. The tale she is telling seems like a tall tale because it doesn't seem possible. Again, this is hinting at an aspect of the story that's going to be covered later. The line, the irony of the pensive whore, seems to be a mean-spirited line about how Mystery should be using her body instead of her brain. I think this is intentional, as the way that the men in the world view the prostitutes is a motif that shows up over and over again. They're very cruel to them. I don't think this necessarily reflects Casey's own viewpoints on people who do that kind of work. Touch, taste, feel it ripping me down. A reprise 2 times, the dime, burn it to the ground, oh, on the ground. This chorus gives us the image of Mystery performing her work at the brothel that we are now told is named The Dime. The reprise that bring it to the ground is foreshadowing to the events that will take place a couple of albums from now. The line, "The reprise at the Dime," also confirms that Mystery has gone back to work at the Dime to provide for both her and Hunter. She has resumed her life as a prostitute. The inquiry of Mystery, the expiry of misery, the table turns, the sung along, the riverbed, and he's alone. The inquiry is Hunter questioning his mom about what she does for a living. He wants to know why he is left alone every single night, but she isn't ready to share that misery of the world with him. She wants to keep him safe and protected. The object of affection, conflicted by convictions of indecency, sorority, corrupted by impropriety, the cavalier she hopes of him, in dissonance with experience, a boy who grows with knife in hand to fend for her, becomes a man, but she plays fake affection and carefully lacks objection to her gentleman caller's twisted desires. The second verse is all about Mystery's conflicted feelings about wanting her son to grow up to be a gentleman, while also providing for him by being a prostitute and leading that kind of life. One thing that is brought up is the knife that Hunter has. It doesn't hold a ton of significance right now, but it is symbolic of the bond between him and his mother. We dance around the room, my love, I'll carry you, and I'll teach you how to treat that leading lady that you'll meet. Here we have Hunter and his mother dancing around together at night. She says that she'll carry him. This gives me the image of a boy being too short to dance with his mom properly, but it's also symbolic of Mystery carrying him by providing for his needs financially. She says that she will teach him how to treat that leading lady that he'll meet. She wants him to be a gentleman, so she teaches him how to act like one. However, the term leading lady is a hint to a woman he will meet in the next album, one who shares many similarities with Mystery, his mom. We dance around the truth, my dear, I lie for you, but when I lie down, I'm simply lying to them too. Mystery dances around the truth and cannot fully explain what she does for work to Hunter. She then says that when she is working, it's all a lie. She gives them fake love, since all of her true love is reserved for her son. Overall, it's just a beautifully tragic song that captures the themes of this album so incredibly well. I really love it. Track 5, 1878. The title of this song refers to the year that the brothel, the Dime, the one that Mystery works at, was founded. It is also a nod to the fact that this album is written in a 7/8 time signature, fun fact. This song is really almost like a montage or a collection of moments put together about the story up to this point. It's more of an aesthetic piece than a narrative one. We got away and survived, stunned by the shock and fearing what's behind. These lines refer to Mystery's escape from the Dime that we heard about on track 3, City Escape. Branches twisting, reaching for the sky, hands extending, reaching for the... These two lines are meant to serve as a juxtaposition of Hunter's life in the homestead and his mother's work at the Dime. While at the homestead, we have branches extending to the sky in a forest, and while at the Dime, we have hands reaching for Mystery. Fell in another hole, for the night, for the knife. Loss of control, for the night, for the knife. I'm in another hole, for the night, for the knife. Bleed myself dry, save my life, save my life. This all refers to Mystery going back to work at the Dime. Her return to her old ways of earning money could be interpreted as her falling into another hole or trap. In doing so, she has lost control of her own life, bleeding herself dry to take care of the son who is unaware of what she is doing for him. Hands conflicting clearly point their way, stunned by the sign and fearing what it says. Hands are a common motif throughout the acts. They are used in a variety of ways to illustrate certain events in the story. Conflicting hands pointing the way seems like our characters are being shown clear paths they should take, but they are afraid to take those paths. This is also a common occurrence that shows up throughout the story. Everything you thought you'd live and die for, every reason leading you to hear all of the sounds that trickle past your introspective ear and attempt to discover what's behind. Here we have Hunter's curiosity about his mother's work illustrated beautifully. He wants to discover what is behind his mom's disappearance at night. She is everything he thought he would live and die for. She's his whole world, and he wants to know more about this mysterious part of her life. This song certainly has less to dissect than most, but the song itself is really beautiful and a great example of writing a song in an unconventional time signature. The 7/8 time makes this whole song feel uneven, like you're a Hunter trying to piece together the untold life that his mother is living. It's super cool. Track 6, The Pimp and the Priest. In this song, we're introduced to the antagonist of the story, the pimp and the priest. This man is truly a monster. He is a priest who looks over the church during the daytime, but as soon as the night falls, he runs the Dime, which is the brothel that Miss Therese works at. We are never explicitly told if these two things are happening in the same building, but the general consensus seems to be that the church and the Dime share a wall and that potentially there's like a secret passage between the two buildings. This also explains the bond and the book between the priest and Miss Therese that they mentioned in track 4. She works for the priest as a prostitute. Take me to the river, take me to the river. This song opens with Miss Therese pleading internally to be taken to the river, which is her escape back to her quiet home life with Hunter. As she works at the Dime, she is constantly wishing she could be free of this and never come back. The pimp and the priest pounce on quickened cat's feet for the freshest young blood, innocence for the feast. The priest is constantly looking for new women to introduce to the men at the brothel. He no doubt uses his position of authority as a way to court young women into working for him at night. The book will then brew with the sinful commit, while the pimp and priest pray quietly where the precious sinners sit. The book in this case is referring to both the Bible that the priest preaches from and the transactions that are made in exchange for pleasure with the woman of the Dime. The pimp and the priest also prays over the precious sinners, but instead of praying in a spiritual sense, he prays in the way that a predator stalks its next meal. Confess, oh confess, in the chapel or brothel where we suffocate stress, we've got the time if you've got the scratch. Conquer your sins while she screams on her back. Again, twisting religious themes to fit the setting of the brothel. We are also shown that the women are taken advantage of and are not happy in their current situation. The chorus calls back to how Miss Therese described her experiences at the Dime back in track 4, The Inquiry of Miss Therese. Faster, save me, how the sins remain hostage. Harder, I can't breathe. The women are in agony while the priest keeps the sins of the men who frequent the brothel hostage. He charges them money to commit their sin, and he also charges them money to be forgiven of that same sin. We don't know if the town is aware that the pimp and the priest are the same person. He is depicted as wearing a plague doctor's mask as well as a pig mask at some points. I think that the town is not aware of this connection, but Miss Therese definitely is. Now, the priest and the pimp are already equipped with an enigmatic frontage post, "We welcome walk-ins." So we corner our pace and make quick for the door to be pardoned and passed from the bed to the floor. More imagery here of the seedy brothel and more doublespeak about the life of the pimp and the priest. Accepting walk-ins sounds like a medical clinic, but could be referring both to the church and the Dime. We go back into the bridge and the chorus before getting one of the most beautiful segments of music that the Deer Hunter has, in my opinion. We hear Miss Therese singing, "Sing softly, sing me to the lake, sing softly, bring me to the lake." Again, she's wishing to be back home with her son Hunter, and after this touching interlude, we are brought back to the chorus. This part of the song has always stuck with me because I would always remember how wonderful and soothing that particular section of the Deer Hunter's music sounded, and then would be shocked to remember that it's found in The Pimp and the Priest, which is a generally kind of slimy and seedy song. It's a great bit of musical storytelling that contrasts both the hell that Miss Therese goes through at the Dime with the heaven that she associates with their home at the lake. You get carried away in the beauty of this incredibly gorgeous section of music, only to be brought back to the griminess of the chorus of the song. It's genius. Again, perfect storytelling from the Deer Hunter. Track 7, His Hands Matched His Tongue. This is my personal favorite song on the album, and I think it's one of the best the Deer Hunter has ever written. It's a beautiful reflection of how Hunter feels about the life that his mother leads, his uncertainty of his future after she'll be gone, and whether he even wants to know the truth of her life. A long walk home, riddled with regret. Uncommonly comfortable, but still I believe that in time I think I'll see just what's been weighing down on me. The long walk home is the walk that Miss Therese does every night. She's riddled with regrets of her occupation, but she finds these feelings of regret somewhat comforting since they're so familiar to her. She experiences them every night. Hunter thinks that in time he'll be able to see what is weighing down on both himself and his mom, even though she seems unwilling to tell him at the current time. The smell of smoke, the evening sky was bruised. Belated conversations saturate anticipation for the answers that simply won't come. More imagery of this sad evening walk. Hunter anticipates that his mom will eventually tell him about her life, but we know that those answers are never going to come from her. Hunter seems to realize this and accepts the situation, trusting that his mother knows best. But not I won't ask. Forget my place amongst the grass. The leaves and the trees remember me, and in my naivety it might be seen. Here Hunter makes the active choice to stop inquiring into the truth of his mother's life. He chooses to be a part of the nature that surrounds him in the homestead and to live in his own ignorance. At first this seems okay, but then we get the next couple of lines. The pail has leaks, and even if you put all your water into it, you'll end up with nothing left to drink. The well has gone dry, and I with it. Hunter's life at the homestead is not sustainable. He can choose to ignore the rest of the world and live his life only knowing his own mother, but that isn't enough in the end. Even if he does everything he can to take care of and love his mother, he will still end up with nothing when she is gone. Oh, someday she'll be gone. Oh, someday she'll be gone. We'll still have her song to sing. We'll still have her song to sing. His mother will die someday and he won't be left with much, but even though the flame will be gone, the fire will still remain, and he will still have her song to sing. And what is that song? Sing softly, bring me to the lake. Sing softly, sing me to the lake. Sing softly, bring me to the lake. Sing softly, sing me to the lake. Those comforting words that Miss Therese sings to herself to get through her rough nights at the dime is what Hunter will be left with. The idea that even though the world is cold and a horrible place, their homestead will always be there for him. Track 8, The River North. We end the album on yet another instrumental track. This time it's a somber, sad, and simple piano piece that has an air of mystery to it. I always imagine Hunter and Miss Therese sitting together while this song plays, just kind of relaxing in their house. After a while, we are treated to the sound of an orchestra tuning up. Even after all we have heard, even after experiencing the entire tragic life of Miss Therese, we are still only at the beginning, and the orchestra must get ready for the next act, Act 2. The Deer Hunters' Act 1, The Lake South and the River North, is a work of genius by a band that was just barely getting started. Seeing them expand those themes to the rest of the story is truly incredible, and I cannot wait to talk about those albums in later videos. As we move into Act 2, the story will shift to be primarily about Hunter and his experiences. We will learn more about the pimp and the priest and his terrible plans for the city. Act 1 is important though because it sets the stage. We need to know all about what Miss Therese endured to understand the tragic life of her son Hunter and everything he's going to experience. The flame is gone, the fire remains. Thank you so much for watching. This video was truly a passion project of mine. I love the Deer Hunter, and I'm gonna get started working on the Act 2 video, which is probably gonna take a lot longer because this video was supposed to be like 10 minutes long, and it's probably gonna be a lot longer than that, but I'm really excited to talk about the rest of their music. Please go listen to Act 1 and the rest of their music. You will not regret it. I think they're absolutely incredible. Again, they're like criminally underrated. I could talk about this band forever, so I'm glad that I'm finally making a video about it. And then if you like this video, please subscribe. Like I said, I'm getting really close to 500 subscribers, and that would just be an awesome goal to hit. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. See ya.